It's your boy Biko with iLLANOiZE Radio. And man, I got a very special guest alongside me. This young lady is amazing. I mean, when it comes to radio, she been holding it down since college. College and transitioned into online and transitioned into terrestrial FM radio at one of her favorite stations at that. She landed on Power. You know what I'm saying? That's not an easy thing to do at that. I got Bree Specific in the building with me. How you doing, young lady?
I'm good, Biko. What's good? What's good? I'm so nervous right now.
Don't be nervous.
I'm always asking the questions.
How I feel to be on this side?
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Especially after what my last 24 hours for sure.
We gonna get into that too. But now you see how artists feel, or just guests in general,
For
when they
sure.
sitting behind that hot seat. You see how I feel. But, you know, before we even get into how your last 24, 48 hours been, let's just talk about briefly how you got into radio and how radio became a passion for you.
I fell into it, and what's crazy is I told this story here before years ago. That's crazy. I fell into it. I was in college, and I met a lady, and she was over the radio station at SIU at the time, and she gave me like a flyer like, yo, you know, I think you should come out and, you know, check out our radio station. At the time, I only danced, so I was like, I need something else to do, you know. So I went to a meeting, and long story short, I was the only African American there. So I pretty much they threw me into the hip hop station. They had a hip hop station, then they had like a alternative top 40 station. The top 40 station was huge. Okay. Hip hop station was like not even half of this room. For real.
Really? Yeah. Not even half?
Not even half of this.
And this is not a big room.
Exactly. So I was the only one that had a hip hop show. Okay. And they ended up just like giving me a show. They threw me in there and gave me a show. And it was called Crew Love Radio. I did it with DJ D93. So we started out together. And Ricky Arts, you know, if y'all shoot videos, we literally started together, which is crazy because all of us are like going crazy right now. And from there, I graduated. I came back home. I went to Illinois Media School. I got an intern there from Power. I was on Windy City Underground. In Windy City Underground, I did work with What's the Word. From What's the Word, I ended up with Urban Broadcast Media.
Hold on, wait. Before we even go off What's the Word, congrats on 10 years. Shout out to the homie Cody Mack.
So
recently celebrated 10 years. That's not an easy milestone right there.
For sure. For sure. So What's the Word? Urban Broadcast Media. From there, I started doing my own podcast for a little while with my homie. Shout out to Jay Sims. And I was interning at Power the entire time. So after I got done with Power, I told them pretty much, you know, I don't want to leave. So I ended up becoming a board op. From there, I started producing Ricky Smiley Morning Show. And then I got on air. So
it took it. So that timeline sounded extensive. It took you some time to pretty much land.
It was like all together. Probably like a year and a half, 2 years.
Really?
I was moving around. I was on like three different.
That's a blessing.
I was on like three different, like working with three different platforms at one time.
And then in a year and a half, boom, landed, you know, your own on-air position.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. Damn, girl.
Thank you.
Look, that's the passion. You got a passion for radio, and I've seen it since the beginning. I mean, for those of you that know, we've interviewed Bree, about a year and a half, about
3 years ago. I had just got on air. I think it was like 3 years ago.
Well, I thank you for coming back. Now, you know, all right, we're going to get into it because, like you said, your last 24 hours has been crazy. So we got to talk about it, Bree. I saw when you tweeted this. I'm going to let you say what the tweet is. But when you first tweeted this tweet that really set Chicago on fire, I saw it. When you first tweeted, I say, and this is before it went viral. This is when you first tweeted. I say, that's for to go crazy. And it did go crazy. So first and foremost, let people know, share the tweet with everybody one time.
Okay. I'm nervous, but the tweet says, Chicago music scene is dry. Can we fix this? Is it COVID? What happened? I tweeted it at 4 o'clock.
And, you know, when you first initially tweeted, actually, not even when you first, before you tweeted it, like, what was your initial thoughts to even put that tweet out?
I was with my homie. We was chilling. I was with my homie. We was chilling. And we were just talking about music. And then I was just talking about how, like, you know, I feel like the Chicago scene isn't the Chicago scene anymore. And I'm like, it honestly, that's why I didn't think it would do that much, because I'm like, it honestly could have been COVID. Like, we coming out of COVID, but in my head, I'm like, I know so many artists that would like hit the ground running right now, because it's like we finally, like, we don't have to have masks no more. Like, they'll be like, let's do this activation, let's do this, let's throw this concert, let's do this showcase, let's throw a private listening session. But you know, us being media, we're usually invited out to things like this too, and that's where we find talent, because usually people would invite us or we hear about it. You know what I'm saying? That's not saying that we not tapped in, but 9 times out of 10, that's how it go. So we were just talking about who next up in Chicago. You know, a couple names came up, but I was saying as far as like a music scene, as far as like it's a we don't even have to have a collective of people where it's like, you know, if you go to this show and you see A, B, C, and D, it's gonna be a great show. Performance wise, it's gonna be people there. You know, media is gonna be there. Radio personalities, industry people, they're gonna be there. You know that show is gonna be bust. I said we not really in that mode yet. That doesn't mean that we can't get there, but we was just having that scene. I was like, yeah, it is kind of dry right now, and that's where the tweet came from.
Okay, so that's the breakdown, because I feel like me looking at the tweet, I'm not the type to misinterpret anything. And I didn't see a lot of details within the tweet. So that's why I never responded. I read comments. But I don't be on
Twitter.
And we going to talk about that too. So it's like, you know, I look at Twitter, like I told you earlier, as text messages. And, you know, texting gets misinterpreted often. And I look at tweets can get misinterpreted often. But, you know, Chicago is also very sensitive when it comes to certain subject matters. And when people see the music scene is dry, my first thing was, okay, well, what's dry? Are you talking about performances? Are you talking about the artist scene? Are you like, what's dry about Chicago? So can you let people know what's dry about, well, in your perspective, what you feel is dry about the city where it can have some improvement?
Yeah, when I said dry, I was just saying that I feel like we can improve more when it comes to having showcases where the performers actually know how to perform. Like, I've been to, and people love, and the whole thing was, oh, you're not tapped in, you don't care about the local scene. I'm not, and I wasn't talking about mainstream artists. I wasn't talking about talent. Like, Chicago has hella talent. If I didn't think Chicago didn't have talent, I would not have made the tweet, because I wouldn't have cared. But when I said it, I meant like as far as like having really established shows, because there was a time where you could throw a showcase, you can get 5 or 6 artists that are underground or local, quote unquote, and they knew how to perform. They had stage presence. They knew how to bring people out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been to shows where the headliners couldn't even bring people out.
Me too.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, recently. Yeah. And I was just speaking off my personal experience. And that's what I mean by dry. That we've been in the scene where it's like people would, you know, get billboards. They would get trucks with playing a music video, going down the street and having people, you know, having posters,
flyers,
everywhere.
Postcards.
You knew Chicago music when you saw Chicago music, and it was very prominent. And I think that people are, you know, we coming out of a pandemic. Sometimes people do get lazy. Sometimes people be like, well, I don't need Chicago. I don't have to perform right now because I got TikTok. You know, I don't have to perform right now because I got this many followers. But then when you have that opportunity where it's like, oh yeah, I want to perform, now you don't have no, you know, you haven't worked on your performance, so now you can't connect with the crowd. You can't connect with your fans that's been listening to your music or watching your TikToks all the time. So now we get here, we like, okay, where your stage presence at? You rapping over your vocals.
Yeah, karaoke rap is what I call it.
You feel me? And I've been to, and people love to say I ain't been away. I've been to shows that has been like that, and I'm telling y'all, we can do better. That was it. We can do better.
So it sounds like that what you stated pretty much was just misinterpreted, which is in a way why. Like I stood back, I watched, and I saw how the tweet went from the conversation of support. You know what I'm saying?
It went from support, and I feel like it only went from support because I work in radio.
So after you tweeted this, because, you know, when you working for a platform like Power, you know, a lot of these companies, organizations be having social media guidelines. When this tweet did what it did, like, did any type of regulations be brought up? Were you okay? Did anybody come talk to you? Was you cool. Good? Your job still solid?
I was cool. I think I was cool because my boss know me. like, it's been times where he was like, you know, you got a smart mouth. And I was like, I just be trying to speak my truth. But no, he came. I was on air yesterday. He came in, but he was just like, no, he said, I know that you were sincere with what you said, and I knew you wasn't being malicious.
The iLLANOiZE app is available now on Apple and Google Play Store. Download the app, get the latest news, stream our podcasts, watch interviews, and listen to iLLANOiZE Radio live. Download the app right now.
I mean, break down like how radio operate for artists that may not understand how commercial radio operate. Break down that so they can fully understand like your position and the type of power you have behind the mic.
So radio works. We run off advertisements. We run off sponsorships. So it's pretty much, that's why y'all be like, dang, y'all commercials long as hell, because that's how we make our money.
Long than a motherfucker.
That's how we make our money. So we run off of that. That's how we make our money. On top of, you know, we work with labels. That's how we pick the songs that are in rotation each hour on the hour, because we work with the labels too. But we're commercial radio, so we're supposed to play commercial. We're supposed to play commercial music with mainstream artists. My station, we have shows where you can play local music. They like, shout out to Shondell, Raw TV Radio. You always have an opportunity to get your music
on Sundays.
Showcased. Exactly. What's Hot Rod is a mix.
Saturdays
9 p.m. He always looking out for local artists. You feel me? Like DJ Commando, Will the Thrill, and that's what I tell every time people come to me. They be like, "Well, how do I get my music on the radio?" Go to the DJs. Go to the DJs, because they making these mixes, and if it fits, that's another thing. People don't know what a radio record is. Your song can be good, but it may not sound good on radio. It may not be a radio record. You know, it may not bring people in like dude that came at me about Moneybagg Yo said something. It may not bring people in like said something did, so we can't play it on radio. That doesn't mean that it's not a great song.
So, okay, in the aspects of commercial, what makes it a radio song?
First off, the hook has to hook.
Gotta hook you.
Your
I agree to that. That course is important.
Exactly. A lot of people have hooks where it's like your hook can have a variety of things. It don't have to be, your hook don't have to be a repetitive, like Pop It. Pop that song, Pop It.
Yeah, I was listening to that earlier.
Yeah, like that. It's a radio record.
It's repetitive as hell.
It's repetitive 9 times out of 10. And I don't want to call it cliche, because it's not, because like when J. Cole Middle Child came out, you know, like
hot record.
That was one of my favorite records. Like, that's a radio record. But then at the same time, it's still J. Cole. So you gotta think, if it wasn't J. Cole, would it still be a radio record?
And I know this was a cliche question, but it's just, you know, people are now, you know, getting more in tune with who you are and trying to understand your standpoint on this tweet and just how you feel about Chicago scene. I mean, right off the bat, like I said, when you tweeted it, I'm like, hold on, Chicago music scene is dry. I personally would never tweet that, because, you know, I'm in a different realm of things.
And
and you in another realm of things.
I am, but when I tweeted it, y'all, I tell y'all, I do not be on Twitter like that. Like,
and you don't be on bullshit neither. Like,
I've never been on BS with anybody. I just tweet and then I go back to doing whatever I'm doing. You feel me? So when I tweeted it, I didn't tweet it for no clicks. I didn't tweet it for people to see for real, because I tweet, if you go down my timeline, I tweet ever so often, what new artists are y'all looking at? Particularly, I usually ask, what R&B artists are y'all looking at? You know, or I ask, you know, what's the scene look, not the scene, but like, who having an open mic? Nobody ever responds, G. Ever responds. So as soon as I put a little salt on that tweet, Gee, you know, I woke up and had like 300 notifications, and I'm like,
you know, negativity fuels.
Everybody was coming. They were coming.
And a rumor has it, you don't even have the Twitter app on your phone.
I don't. I go to twitter.com on my Safari.
Damn, Bree. Wow. So that's crazy as hell. You literally have to log in every time.
Yeah, I do. Because I'd be disconnected from Twitter. So, like, I literally would probably spend like an hour on Twitter, and not even an hour, probably like 30 minutes. I'll tweet the most random. I could tweet somebody, one of my homies was like, oh, you look like you're so happy in your relationship. I said, what relationship? She was like, I thought you was tweeting about a man. I said, no, I was tweeting like some LMA lyrics or something like that. Like, I tweet the most random.
Look, like I said, tweets are like text.
Bruh.
Shit get misinterpreted fast.
The most random things, and I get off Twitter and just go about my day. This one particular tweet just happened to like ruffle feathers.
A lot of feathers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got to know too, you know, with this tweet going viral for you and just really shaking Chicago, it, in a way, you know, some people look at it as a negative thing. Some people look at it as a positive thing. It's brought people followers. It's brought people new listeners to their music. I applaud you in general for raising the conversation. I mean, as far as like the background of things, I'm happy that people now understand that it was based off of performances and not just the music scene in general.
And just being creative outside of music. And, you know, being an artist is an overall thing. Mm-hmm. Like, even with us, like, we talk on radio, but we still have segments that we do outside of radio. We still have content that we make outside of here. You feel me? Even when we go out, you still have to be Biko from iLLANOiZE radio. You feel me? Like, you have to be that person. And being an artist is the same way. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you have, and I'm not saying that there aren't any artists that are on the come up, because I know there are a handful of artists that are on the come up that I feel like taps into that creativity that I'm trying to explain to people, but they won't want to yell at me about who I'm not listening to. I never said Chicago didn't have talent, but yeah, like, there are a handful of artists that are like that I see on the come up, and I see them working hard, and I see them knowing who they are as an artist and going off that to have events, to have activations, to do shows, to actually work on their performances. It's about being an overall artist.
The iLLANOiZE app is available now on Apple and Google Play Store. Download the app, get the latest news, stream our podcasts, watch interviews, and listen to iLLANOiZE Radio live. Download the app right now.
I didn't think that it was going to get into a conversation. I thought I was just going to get trolled all day and people was just going to start sitting.
You got some trolls.
I got trolled. I'm still getting trolled. Like,
But you also received some feedback from one of you tweeted that you received feedback from one of the ghosts of the industry. And that made your week.
Freaking out. Lit.
So, I mean, what was
lit. I don't even want to tell nobody, because people was under my post, under my tweet, like, you ain't gonna tell us no, because I ain't want Twitter to ruin the moment for me. But it was dope to see, for him to pull me over and tell me what he said. Like,
what was said?
He was just like, the first thing he asked me was, he was like, oh, you the one stirring the pot today? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And he was like, do you regret it? And I was like, nah. He was like, I really respect that you standing on what you said. And he was like, I agree with you. And then we continued to have the whole conversation about it. And I mean, in a nutshell, he was just saying it's a conversation that usually comes up periodically every few years. But, you know, I think it was different that me being a female too, and a female from radio, he said, you know, that really spoke volumes, and it made people listen.
I mean, I'm happy. I'm actually happy that you did that.
Thank
you.
I'm
happy you did that, because a lot of people are conversating. A lot of people are being more supportive at this time right now.
I was so happy to see. I was actually so happy to see all of the local artists actually speak up and send in their music, and my email's going crazy right now.
See?
Like, going crazy right now. But, like, to see all of them just be like, I got this song, you need to check out this person. I got in tune with so many good artists. I found some not so good artists too. But I got in tune with so many good artists, and it's dope to see that. It's dope to, you know, and then even people that's older than me, that been in the industry longer than me, they're watching. So they looking at who responded. They like, oh, let me check this person out. Let me check. Like, somebody told me it got to the labels.
I know you personally.
Yeah.
That's why I ain't tweet nothing. I ain't said shit. Like,
it was a moment where I was like, be going, because people were asking me for music, like, to listen to their music. I was like, have y'all ever been to iLLANOiZE radio?
Yeah, that's dope. Like, but that's another way to help.
I thought about it. I was like, Biko ain't even say nothing.
I ain't said a goddamn. This is me talking now, because me seeing that tweet, like, I ain't gonna lie, you ruffled a lot of fellas.
No, I don't care. I'm the only child. I'm an only child. I could care less about what somebody has to say.
You ain't ruffled my feathers though. I was cool with it. I'm like, look, I got thick skin. I know you personally, and I know what the type of heart you have. So I'm like, man, it's dope that you raised the conversation, but I know you didn't mean no maliciousness. Because I'm going to tell y'all this, so y'all can understand. Even the people that's bullying my sister right now, y'all got to understand, this young lady hosts damn near almost every event. She's always searching for new talent. She's always looking for some type of music to be in tune with. she's always somewhere on the scene doing what she can outside of just being a radio personality. So like, and you done popped in and done supported us several fucking times. You're here right now. So it's like, you know, I always knew where your heart was, and that's why I'm like, all right, I'm not finna misinterpret this tweet. That's why I never said anything, responded, or even tweeted some subliminal shit, because I'm like, okay, I need to know the full description. It was a lot of
subliminals. It was people where I was like, yo, like, I thought we were cool. Okay. Like, but it was a lot. You know now.